Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Very cheeky of you, by the way. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the wedding drama subreddit from Ileana117 and says, bride and groom trying to cancel my paid resort booking out of spite. Can they actually do that? Hi everyone, I'm part of a destination wedding group booking through a travel agent. I paid my full share of the resort reservation under my name, including flight and hotel, and was originally part of the bridal party. Due to personal conflicts and repeated emotional disrespect from the bride and groom, I chose to respectfully withdraw as a bridesmaid. No drama, no hostility. I made it clear that I was still attending the trip as a guest, separate from the wedding events. The bride removed me as a bridesmaid after already losing 6 others. I was the second last one. She then cut off all communication and told me I'd need to speak to her fiancé instead. He proceeded to threaten that unless I speak to her and resolve things on her terms, I would not be allowed to attend the tour. I accepted the situation with grace and wished them well. But now they've retaliated by saying that since I'm not attending the wedding, they've cancelled my entire reservation, even though I paid in full. The room is in my name and I'm sharing it with another bridesmaid. The booking is under their group contract with the resort, but I have the invoice and confirmation under my name. They even told me, do not attempt to show up, which feels like intimidation more than anything else. The resort says they can see the group, but not individual bookings. And that is all managed through the travel agent. I've emailed the agent, it's the weekend, and I'm hoping she can confirm my spot. The trip is less than 2 weeks away, and I'm just trying to enjoy the vacation I paid for, separate from the wedding drama. My family and friends are livid, and yes, I will take legal action if this isn't resolved. But for now, I just want to clarify. Has anyone gone through something like this before? Any advice on how to protect myself or what steps to take next? Thank you. I'm not looking for more conflict, just peace. As always, some of the commenters were asking questions. One asks, so where do they think the bridesmaid you were sharing the room with will stay? Opie says they're expecting me not to go on the trip at all. And then adds the quotes, we have therefore removed your name from the booking effective immediately. There will be no reservation under your name at the resort, so we advise you not to attempt to arrive under this booking. Your payment will not be refunded due to the non-refundable policy, and this matter is now closed. And then says, I've spoken to my paralegal bestie. A third party, despite being the bride and groom, cannot cancel a reservation made under my name that's been paid in full without serious legal implications. The lack of confirmation is what's making me nervous. Commenter says, what does the other bridesmaid say about all this? Does she still expect you to foot half the cost for the room she now gets to herself? Or was she booted out as well? And where did her deposit go? Opie says the only bridesmaid left is an acquaintance of hers from Europe who's not in this country and doesn't speak English very well. I haven't met her. We've spoken briefly. She seems sweet. I helped her with the bookings and her transfers from the airport to the hotel. Our room is a split shared booking, but the room reservation is under my name. I'm staying for 7 days while she's only staying for 3, so the agent recommended doing a split booking under my name since I'm staying longer. She likely has no idea what's going on. Commenter says, honestly, this is weird on everyone's part. Totally understand you want to just have a vacation, but you're sharing a room with a bridal party member. Based on how the booking is structured, I'm not sure why you would think you're going to be able to have a vacation that will avoid them entirely. Your presence is going to just cause a massive amount of drama. And this vacation is going to be stressful. Like, why do this to yourself? If you can't get the money back, then you can attempt to get the money back from them through legal means. Opie says that's a great point. I'm actually sharing the room with the last standing bridesmaid. She's a kind woman from Europe who doesn't speak much English and has limited involvement in the wedding events. It's also a large resort, so there's plenty of space to coexist without conflict. I paid for my portion of this trip in full back in March, and the wedding is less than 2 weeks away. I helped plan the bachelorette, the photo shoots, and was a consistent emotional anchor for the bride through several other bridesmaids stepping down. I was genuinely close to both the bride and groom, and any conflicts that arose were never met with this level of coldness and dehumanization before. Would I still have a good time? Absolutely, it's an all-inclusive resort, and as a grown adult with no ill intentions, I'm more than capable of enjoying the trip peacefully and respectfully, separate from the wedding. If there had been goodwill and maturity on both sides, we could have handled this with grace, without all this unnecessary fallout. Commenter says, are the bride and groom refusing to pay you back for what you paid? Or do they simply not want you to attend the resort and are cancelling your room and refunding you? If they're refusing to pay you back, threatening legal action is your best bet. I would talk to the travel agent about getting your money back for the room. If you're no longer part of the wedding, I would think they can cancel your room if it was part of the room block, but would still have to refund you. Opie says, yes, they are refusing to pay back. I've noticed several comments suggesting I try to cancel and just book a different resort, and I understand the sentiment. That said, the wedding is less than 2 weeks away, and at this point the trip is non-refundable for all parties involved. Another important thing to consider is that not everyone has the financial flexibility to drop thousands of dollars on a vacation and then simply rebook somewhere else, especially in this economy. For many of us, a trip like this is a once-in-a-year kind of expense, not something easily replaced. Commenter says 100% take them to small claims court or the equivalent wherever you are. Opie says thanks, I'm in Canada. And that's the plan if I no longer have the reservation. However, I'm hoping to avoid this and that the reservation is secure. Another commenter says, while you're asking about options, consider asking about changing dates. Without knowing more about your situation, I don't know if changing your travel date is feasible for you. But if it is, then that's one more option to check with a resort/travel agent about. Opie says good question. The flight was booked independently outside of the wedding group and cannot be altered. However, if a resolution isn't found with a booking, I'm more than happy to book with a different resort. And Opie clarifies saying, the 6 other bridesmaids were removed prior to my removal. She booted me as a bridesmaid and offered for me to stay as a guest, to which I agreed. This was my withdrawal as a bridesmaid, but acceptance as a guest. Opie adds a comment 1.5 hours later after all this, and says thank you so much. I've sent an urgent email to the agent. As it's the weekend, I'm hoping to hear a response from her tomorrow. I'm collecting as much information as I can for more clarity on the situation until then. Here are the key points mentioned in the email. I would appreciate urgent clarification on the following. Is my reservation under the group booking still valid and active? If it has been altered or cancelled by any third party, please explain how this was permitted without my direct consent. Could you kindly share the cancellation and modification policies for group bookings under your agency? So Opie added another post sometime later that was just titled, How the Bride Lost All 7 of Us. A lot of people have been asking about how this bride lost all 7 of her bridesmaids, including me. I never replied to it in the other post because I'm solely there for friendly advice and resolutions to the situation. But I understand wanting to know more if you're here from the other post. Welcome back. Please keep in mind that all of this information is directly from the bride, except for my story. A bridesmaid story. 1. This bridesmaid found out she was pregnant before booking a trip. She let the bride know that she didn't feel comfortable traveling overseas as this is her first pregnancy and she'd like to stay in the country. The bride was not happy about this. She brought up her disappointments with this bridesmaid a few times, saying someone else is still coming to the wedding even though they're in the same trimester of their pregnancy. Each time she brought it up, I reassured her that though I understand her disappointment, the bridesmaid is still being reasonable as it's her pregnancy. If she's not comfortable, then it's perfectly valid. At that time, I reassured her that it's okay. She has other bridesmaids. 2, 3, and 4, these bridesmaids dropped out pretty early. I don't have any details as I don't know them personally. The reasons given by the bride were events already in place for the date of the wedding and financial reasons. Number 4 was an argument. She didn't go into details, but number 4 was the first bridesmaid to get booted. 5. This bridesmaid was a friend of the bride since back in university. This story is a little convoluted, so I'll do my best to stay on an appropriate timeline. The bridesmaid had just gotten engaged prior to our bride asking her to be a bridesmaid. They both had a mutual friend who is also getting married. The mutual and the bride had a bad fallout back in university. This mutual and this bridesmaid are still friends and are attending each other's weddings. When our bride asked this bridesmaid to be one, it created conflict with the mutual, and this bridesmaid uninvited our bride to her wedding and withdrew as a bridesmaid due to conflict with the bride over these issues. 6. This bridesmaid was the closest to the bride and had a long history of on and offs during their relationship over the years. Based on stories the bride had shared with me, the last I spoke to the bride about this bridesmaid, only 2 months before the wedding. She was supposed to visit the bride, but that didn't end up happening. The only details I have are what the bride provided in our shared bridesmaid group chat, as she didn't reach out to me directly to speak about this one. It stated that she could not attend for personal reasons. 7. Me. We know my story for the most part. I've made Pinterest boards and idea pages for her photo shoots. I helped support her through the loss of the bridesmaids. I built her a personal little makeup kit for the days of the wedding and offered to touch up her makeup as needed. The last thing I helped with was to find themes and ask her preferences for the bachelorette, which she replied with, "Ick, I'll just ask ChatGPT, lol." This was the start of our fallout. I booked off time from work, bought the flight tickets and paid for my reservation well in advance. The most important being the emotional support during all these stresses that she consistently had regarded bridesmaids, her mum, her fiance. Things progressively got worse the closer we got to the wedding date. It wasn't always like this. I visited the bride quite often in support of the wedding. However, the last few trips didn't go well. She'd been erratic in her behaviors and quite rude. Anytime I would mention it, she would speak on me triggering her and how she was uncomfortable with me making her feel a certain way. She claimed that I had not been supportive and that I'm causing drama by not accepting the toxic behavior. She wasn't always like this. I wish I could provide more clarity, but I genuinely don't know what happened. We don't live in the same city and communication through text became very different than in person. So when the time came and she booted me, I chose to peacefully agree with the bride's decision to remove me as a bridesmaid. The retaliation afterwards was unnecessary. And that is the history of how this bride lost 7 bridesmaids and how her only remaining bridesmaid is a foreign lady from Europe who is helping fill the last spot. No shade to the last bridesmaid though. She's sweet. And OP comes in with another update and says, "Hey everyone, I just need to start with how incredibly grateful I am for all the support, information, everything that's been offered here. I'm wholeheartedly really thankful for you. Now for the good part. I still have the room. The bride and groom were bluffing. There was a lot of support on here of people confirming this. I see you. The agent ghosted me. A few people here said it might happen. I tried calling periodically again. My number started going straight to voicemail, and she hasn't replied to any emails. The majority of you told me to contact the hotel directly, and I genuinely cannot thank you enough. A lot of people are wondering why I'm still going, and though I have confirmed it in the comments, I will reintegrate for clarity. I've prepaid the flight tickets, the reservation itself, booked time off work, purchased many things for this vacation. Even the transfers between the hotel and airport are already done. This cost me roughly 5,000 Canadian dollars. This trip is less than 2 weeks away and the reservation for this hotel at this time is non-refundable. These are the key reasons why I was hoping for a resolution. I've contacted the hotel last Friday before I posted this on the weekend. They were able to find the group booking, but the guy doing it wasn't able to find my reservation. I called again today to see if there was another department that could help, and the lady that answered was phenomenal. She confirmed the booking, confirmed that despite the drama happening, they can't cancel my reservation. As a few of you recommended, she did put a note on my reservation saying that I will be arriving and not to change it for any reason. Lastly, she told me to come and enjoy my trip as it's a wonderful vacation and I'm likely to have an incredibly good time. That this happens a lot and that everything will work out. The hotel has my back. And that, as they say, is that. A commenter says to OP, "I'm glad you aren't losing any money. Just one thing, please don't interfere with the wedding. Don't be a drama llama. Just avoid it and the guests too. Enjoy a quiet break, stay away from stuff you aren't involved with. Keep posts on social media to a minimum till you get home. Let them have their wedding in peace and you can move on knowing you were the bigger person here." OP replies saying this is exactly it. I don't plan on engaging with them. In fact, I plan on pretending like I don't know them. If I see them, I'm walking the other way, and if I can avoid them, I will do so at all costs. I'm so overwhelmed with excitement for the trip itself that they're not even on my mind, to be quite honest. Any drama that's created will definitely come from their part, and third-party observers will understand this. I'm sure everyone else at that resort is there to have a good time, and anyone causing conflict is not going to be taken well by staff or others enjoying the resort. Commodore says, according to your post, the room was split shared booking with the other bridesmaid. who's staying there for 3 of the 7 nights. What's the plan for that? Did she cover part of the cost of the room? The way you worded it, it sounds like her name is on the reservation too. Just like they couldn't remove you. You can't remove her. Are you just going to bunk with her and risk the awkwardness and the bride getting access to your stuff? I don't see how you're comfortable with this. That sounds stressful as hell, but you do you. Hope you have a good vacation and that it all works out. Opie says all valid points. Let's break them down. Yes, she covered a part of the cost of the room. So she's only there for 3 days and paid $750, where I paid $3,000 for the room for 7 days. The remaining $2,000 went towards flights, transportation, and excursions. It's a shared booking and neither of us can boot each other out of the room. I confirmed this with the hotel. I'm going to bunk with her and risk the awkwardness. I'll be making sure to lock up all my belongings whenever I'm not in the room. Upon arrival, I will let them know about the situation, and if they can provide me with a suite of my own, I will definitely take it. I'm a genuinely chill person, and will withdraw from conflict if appropriate communication is not helping with the situation at hand. Disclosure, we are well past communication directly with the bride and groom at this point. With the amount of excitement I have for this trip alone, the energy that I'll be bringing, I'm hoping she will vibe with it. She's also only arriving for the 3 days, which she'll be busy being a part of the wedding regardless of my 7 days, and I get 4 days all to myself. I'm not sure if this is going to sound petty from me, but if I've paid $5,000, I'm going to that resort regardless, and I'm going to enjoy it any damn way I like. Sure, I'm not going to cause drama for them in any way, but I'm not going to be avoidant either. I'm not going to purposely duck behind corners when you see a wedding party. So I say absolutely go, enjoy yourself, and have the best damn vacation you want. What do you guys make of this situation? I mean, losing that amount of bridesmaids in the first place, it says there's a lot more going on in the background. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from Brit Turnip, who says, am I the asshole for not banning my wife's dog from our home, even though my son is suddenly allergic to it? I have a son from my first marriage that I have 50-50 custody of. We alternate weeks. My now wife used to work in another state and she has 2 daughters. We dated long distance and I would see her every other week when I traveled for work. My son has met her and her daughters many times and we moved slow. We only married after the kids were okay with it. My wife finally got a new job here 3 months ago and we bought a house together in the same city my son and I live in. The kids are still adjusting to the move and are not thrilled. The problem now is my ex, my son, and my wife's 6-year-old German Shepherd. My son has met this dog many times before and has had no issues before. Well, after we bought the house and my wife brought the dog here permanently, there has been a whole disaster. Remember that my son has seen this dog many times before with no issues, and there is no known history of dog allergies. But now it seems he's having a mild reaction to the dog all of a sudden. It's some redness around his eyes and sniffling. An allergist has confirmed this. My ex has gone absolutely crazy, more than usual, and refused to let my son over unless the dog is removed. She is also not approving the use of antihistamines if the reaction is bothering him. I ended up spending $40,000 to renovate our basement so my son would have a living space that is totally separate from the dog. I also bought several air purifiers and vacuum and scrub everything every single day when he's living here. It's exhausting. But the moment he complains of a possible reaction, my ex takes him back to her house even though it's my custody time. Now it appears my son is listening to his mother and making ultimatums that he won't be coming over unless we get rid of the dog. You can see why this is difficult for me. My wife and stepdaughters are completely attached to their dog. My wife is beside herself and is now saying she regrets buying the house together. But we're stuck with the house for a while because of financial reasons. I really thought the separate living area was a good compromise. It's much nicer than the rest of the house and I'm down there the entire time he is. I'm just so sick of my ex constantly trying to run my life and I refuse to put my wife and stepdaughters through something as traumatic as giving up their dog. My ex told me yesterday I was putting the dog over my son's needs and it broke my heart. That is not what I'm doing and it's killing me that he's hearing this from her. Am I the arsehole here? My son is 13. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to force him to come live with me on my time. Oof, what a rough situation. And, obviously, I don't want to play down anyone's allergy because an allergy is uncomfortable no matter what level it is, right? But at the moment, this is screaming at the ex, weaponizing it to control everything that's going on currently. I mean, OP spending 40k renovating a basement, offering the antihistamines, which were refused. You know, it's all slightly a bit weird for me. And if I was OP, I'd be thinking about, you know, getting some kind of allergist opinion if you can, like a second one. But Old Head says, info. What in your custody agreement makes it okay that your wife has refused to allow your son to come or refused to allow him to take antihistamines or any other medication? What she seems to forget is she's no longer your wife, and while she has a say over what does and does not happen with her child, she has no say in what goes on in your home, as long as you're tending to the safety and well-being of your child, like, oh, I don't know, putting 40,000 addition for a separate living space. OP says the way it's written, both parents' consent is required for medical decisions. My ex also buys into a lot of conspiracy theories that my son is now starting to believe. Half the revolution says not the arsehole, I think. It seems like his allergy is pretty mild and you've gone above and beyond to accommodate it. He's 13, not a little kid. He can take the medicine if all he gets are the sniffles. It's not really fair for your wife to have to get rid of her dog for some sneezes. However, if his allergy is any more serious than you're letting on, it's more of a problem. Regardless, your ex is being a real arsehole. She should not be interfering in this so heavily, and she should not be doing so by playing up the issue to your son and making him upset with you over it. Have you sat your son down and talked to him about it one-on-one? OP replies saying it's a mild allergy for sure. That's even how the allergist put it. But my ex has been convincing my son it's worse than it actually is, and they are both overreacting. I've tried talking to him several times, but when his own mother is contradicting me, he's obviously confused and is just siding with her. Trash Panda Manda says not the arsehole, you worked really hard to come up with a compromise and spent 40,000 to do it. Your ex is being completely unreasonable. It may be time to take her back to court. Another commenter says he built a dungeon to keep his teenage son in. /sarcasm. Yeah, no teenager will love being locked in the basement when he visits his dad. Trash Panda replies saying a dungeon. It sounded like the kid got his own apartment. What kid doesn't want his own apartment? Seriously though, you might want to get back in touch with a lawyer OP. OP comes in with another post titled, my son and ex lied about the severity of his allergies, forcing me to give my wife's family dog away. How do I fix this? It says, this situation is honestly tearing my family apart. My son from my first marriage is 14 now. When I got married to my now wife a bit ago, everything was going great. We did things by the book, made sure the kids were happy before we got married. Once we got married, my wife moved to my state where my son and I live. We bought a house together. My wife and stepdaughters had a 6-year-old German Shepherd. My son met this dog several times before and had no issues. After we moved in together, my son started getting mild reactions to the dog. The doctor said antihistamines would be a simple fix, but my ex refused to let him take them. As a result, I completely renovated our basement to the point it's nicer than the rest of the house, just so my son could have a dog-free space. I spent a lot of money doing this. This wasn't enough, and my son, with my ex in the sidelines, gave me the ultimatum of him or the dog. At this point, we had months of conflict and my son leaving early anytime he had discomfort. So after discussing with my wife, we made the heartbreaking decision to let someone else adopt the dog because we didn't want my son to feel like we picked the dog over him. My stepdaughters were devastated, but were very understanding. My son resumed seeing me as per the schedule, and it seemed to be working out. Until Christmas, when my ex bought a dog for her family, and my son is freely taking antihistamines now without any complaint. This has obviously not gone over well with my wife and stepdaughters. The kids are fighting non-stop with my son, who is not even being remotely remorseful. My wife is incredibly upset and angry, and I feel like a fool who fell for a very cruel trick. I talked to my son about this, who just seems to avoid the subject. My ex has basically been very rude and flippant about the whole thing. My stepdaughters have said they'd never forgive my son, and I'm just left here wondering how I salvage this. And family therapy isn't an option because my ex opposes therapy. I'm saving to change our custody order because my ex is abusing clauses that let her deny certain medical treatments she disagrees with. I'm also feeling very betrayed by my son. I know he's been caught in the middle, but his subsequent attitude has been very disappointing. Oh my word. Commenter says, yeah, this kid needs therapy. Family therapy may be good for the half that can get it in the meantime, so they can process their loss better. So sorry, by the way. My parents' German Shepherd is my best friend and I'm allergic to her, so this is making me have all kinds of feels. He is devious, in pain, and I'm concerned Mum may be refusing therapy because she is purposely poisoning and manipulating son against you, and a therapist would see through that. My son, with my ex in the sidelines, gave me an ultimatum of him or the dog, and then says she knew if he asked the choice would be more difficult. Quotes again saying my son leaving early anytime he had discomfort, and then says he knows you don't want him to leave, so you avoid making him uncomfortable, which basically trains you to be a doormat. Have you spoken directly with your son about this? He needs to understand the gravity of what his actions have caused, so please don't minimize you or your family's feelings about this while speaking with him. He needs to understand the consequences of his actions, and if he can't, won't, or doesn't care, I'll just hope extra hard that the custody stuff works out so you can put him in therapy. Opie says I have talked to him many times, and he knows how much it killed my wife and stepdaughters to let the dog go. I'm so disappointed with how remorseless he is, and I have no idea how I can bring this family together again. I know my ex is definitely manipulating him, but surely he should have some empathy for himself. Commenter quotes and says, I had no idea how I can bring this family together again, and says, you don't. And you seek therapy to accept that your inability to do that is not your fault. It is your wife's, and to a lesser extent your son's. He's old enough, he had a say in his actions. Do not do the wrong things because you're chasing after some hopeless dream of a fairy tale reunion and the family getting back together. Do right by your daughters, do right by your son by making him face consequences for his truly heinous actions. If he's mad at you, well, sometimes that's part of being a good parent. Opie replies saying I'm not sure what kind of consequences I can give. His own mother is apparently orchestrating all this. He's not a badly behaved kid, it was just this one thing. But the one thing turned out to be a huge deal. I don't know. I feel like I can't do anything right. Antibread says yes to therapy. Fuck what your ex thinks. You'll need it. Opie says I can't take him to therapy without my ex signing off on it too. The therapist's office has this rule. Opie added in the comments saying, I think people are being a bit too harsh on my son. I don't believe he intentionally set out to get a dog removed and purposely do the complete opposite later. With a mother like my ex, I can see why he got so upset about the allergies. I only wish he tried to at least make his feelings known and taken the medication, or tried to be his own person when his mother was pulling the strings. And now I want him to at least apologize for what he put my wife and stepdaughters through. But he's in this mentality that he did what his parents, namely his mum, wanted him to do. He's always been sweet and kind, so seeing this behavior is really jarring. And I can't exactly not see my son or limit my time with him. That would just increase my ex's influence on him. And Opie adds one more post from the Today I Fucked Up subreddit saying, today I fucked up by being a shit dad and doing the same thing I accused my ex of. I've posted my situation on Reddit before. Long story short, we ended up giving away my wife's family dog because my son developed a mild allergy after we had already bought a house and moved in together. My ex refused to let my son take antihistamines and goaded my son into making an ultimatum. Him or the dog. So we made the decision to give the dog away because we didn't want him to feel like we're picking the dog over his health. My wife and stepdaughters were devastated. Well, last Christmas we were shocked to find out that my ex got a dog and started my son on antihistamines. We felt completely betrayed, especially my wife and stepdaughters. My stepdaughters were extremely upset with my son and we had to keep them separated. I then decided to be stupid and petty and start legal proceedings to gain full custody based on my ex buying a dog. I said I didn't want my son on toxic medication like she did, but I honestly just wanted revenge. In response, my ex also gave her dog away. A month ago, my son moved out of my ex's house to my parents' house. He said he wasn't going to live with neither my ex nor me. I went over really pissed because I thought this was him playing into my ex's schemes. Instead, I sat and watched him cry and say that now everyone at both houses hates him and he's being bullied. And he included my ex and I as the ones bullying him. I felt like I was shot through my heart. I realized I'd done exactly what I was accusing my ex of, using my son as a pawn in our conflict. When did I become this disgusting person? How did I let myself become such a terrible father? His face was filled with so much hurt and sadness. He was already getting shit at my home from my stepdaughters, and I managed to make the kids at my ex's house dislike him too. What I'd interpreted as being remorseless was actually him putting walls up because he was feeling attacked. I'm so ashamed of myself. My dad told me he was very disappointed in my actions last week. I sat in my car and wept. I'm disappointed in myself too. I created a mediation appointment with my ex and she actually participated. She also seemed to be full of regret. We came to an agreement to stop fucking up our son's happiness just because we were assholes. But I'm not sure if we can salvage the situation with our son. He's cut both my ex and me off completely, and I can't even blame him. I just had to get this out. I haven't been able to sleep for a while now. I tried calling my son again today. He actually answered this time. He told me he hated me. To hear your child say he hates you and actually mean it is the worst feeling in the world. Oh, what an absolute sad situation. The poor dogs in this, the daughters, the wife, and then watching that side of the family taking a dog at the same time must have just been absolutely devastating. And there's a lot of comments talking about, you know, that the son in this is the person that they feel least sorry for in this situation, but I can't help it for me. I might get hate for it, and you know, I'm not excusing anything that's happened in this situation, but I just feel like it was just such a psychological minefield. You got your mum in your ear all the time, manipulating situations, and it must mess with you morally. Like, that's all you know, that person, the person that you trust the most, that's meant to love you the most, is telling you all this, and who knows what else in the background. But as I said, consequences are consequences. The stepdaughters lost their beloved family member because of these lies. They're not going to forgive that with a sorry or anything of the sort. Bloody hell. What do you guys make of this situation? How do you feel about it? As I always say, I never think I'm right in these situations. I'm just like, what the fuck? But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Incredibly sad one there. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.